So we are at the memorial for Kevin D. Brown, my dad. We are all just going to share a little memory of how we knew Kevin. Hopefully good things. And we all just going to share stuff in a little bit. We are gathered here with mostly his family here in Kentucky, and I don't know. Who want to go first? I can come back.
I will.
Okay.
My name's Jim Hoffman. I married into the Brown family, my wife Robin. And when her family was stationed in Philadelphia, her dad was an x-ray technician in the Naval Hospital. And they went to the same church that I would go to. We didn't live in the area, but my grandfolks did, and we'd go to the same church, and I get to meet them. And Kevin, Doug, were both working on my great uncle's farm, and we would do whatever needed to be done, and they would come down and they'd help out on the farm. And they seemed to have a pretty good time doing that. One I remember mostly working with them is making the hay. The two of them would fight over getting on the tractor, and the other guys would be loading it. But yeah, I did that. And then, of course, as I married into the family as I grew up, and he always was around. He was always good for a laugh. He was always having a good time. And he was in our wedding. Well, not in the wedding, but he was there for the wedding. I think only your sister was in the wedding itself, the wedding party. But it was good. And they were out in Colorado going to seminary, and that's where Kevin really got to enjoy himself. Was out there hiking around Pikes Peak and all that kind of stuff. Made friends out there, and every now and then we'd get to know him and get to visit with him. Next time I remember running into him was Destin, Florida. He was married to Judy down there, and we'd take the kids. At the time, Robin was working for Comair, which got us to fly on Delta on standby. And going down to Uncle Kevin's, we landed out there in the night, and they was looking at the beach, and they could see the white sands, and they thought it was snow. And it was kind of cute. I think Kevin made tuna steaks for them all.
Made us tuna steaks.
I never heard of a tuna steak.
It was good.
It was good.
It was really good.
Yes.
He loved to cook.
All that, yeah, he did that, yeah.
He was good at it too.
Yeah.
Well, there weren't much he wasn't good at. You could ask him.
Oh yeah. That's he was a master of all things, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really?
All right, John, you got something to say?
I worked with Uncle Kevin a lot. You know, he got me several jobs being handyman and whatnot. And one of my favorite pieces of advice, and I've carried it with me through my whole working career, is I should be able to look at your ass and know what you're thinking.
What?
Oh yeah. Say I was a helper.
Profound.
I was a helper.
Yes.
I was a helper. So I was right behind him, helping him do whatever job or work thing we were working on.
So you're supposed to look at his ass and know what he's thinking?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
If he needs a hammer, I need to have it in my hand, holding it up, ready for it. If he needs a screwdriver, he got it.
That's so weird.
That's he
Well, that
was
was good.
that was Uncle Kevin. He was always quick with it. He was like, I need this, I need this. Come on, let's get it done.
The basic idea is a helper. He needs to
Yes,
anticipate
yes, exactly.
what the main worker's doing.
Yeah, you need to be a good helper, is what he taught me. And by
He
golly,
always said it in a memorable way.
yeah.
Yes.
And by golly, I think I did good at it. I think I turned out to be an excellent helper. And I got really good at knowing what tools people needed, regardless of where I looked at it. But he was always a hoot. It was funny. He'd always negotiate. Halfway through the job, he'd try to negotiate it, get it for a better price and whatnot. It was pretty funny. He'd be like, "If we work so many hours, we're gonna get so paid." And I was like, "Yeah, but if we get it done now, we can go home and chill." He said, "No. You're thinking about it all wrong. We need the money." And I said, "Oh, okay. My
And
bad."
when was all this?
Working together. Yeah, I was 13, 14 years old.
Really?
Oh yeah. Kevin come pick me up, and we'd go work on what was it, Benny T, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Benny T, he was an associate pastor at the church we grew up with, and he owned a home restoration company. So he'd flip houses and stuff. And so he hired Uncle Kevin, and Uncle Kevin in turn hired me to come out there and help him do drywall, carpeting, concrete. I learned all kinds of neat little tricks just watching Uncle Kevin do stuff, and especially without the tools. He was really good at working with what he had on site, on hand. You know, if you didn't have a certain thing, he was able to run with it with, you know,
Improvise.
improvising. That's the word. Thank you. Yeah, he's always really funny working with him. He'd always come up with different jokes and different sayings on the way things should work. You know, I
So
wish
you're
I
probably like 40, right? Because this was like what, like 20 years ago or something?
just about, yeah.
Well, Jonathan's only 32,
Yeah.
so.
So I mean, I was 13, 14 years old working with him, and I worked with him pretty steadily
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 years.
Up until you got an actual job.
Yeah. Well, no, even then,
Yeah.
even when I started working actual jobs on my off days, I'd call him up and ask him if he'd have work, and he'd say, "Yep, I'll pick you up." You know, and he'd swing by the house. I'd be standing in the front yard at the end of the driveway, and pull in front. I'd hop in the car, and we'd just go. And we'd listen to classic rock the whole time.
Your favorite.
Yeah. Really drove me nuts.
Really? Why did it drive you nuts?
Because it was the same album every day.
What?
Oh yeah.
He was stuck in the 70s.
Oh yeah. So we'd have the same album, you know. It didn't matter what it was, but we'd listen to it for a solid month straight. And then he'd go to Phil's Records, which is the CD store.
I know I did that. I remember there was a time where I would just like listen to the CD over and over and over again
Yeah.
until I got sick of it, and then I'd switch to a different CD, you know?
Oh no, I'd always praise the Lord, you know, like he'd come in, he's like, "Oh, I got this new CD." I'm like, "Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord." And then we'd listen to it for 3 more weeks, and I'd be like, "I hate this album. I know every word to this song, and I don't even like it." And then he'd buy a new CD, and I'm like, "Yay!" And then the process would repeat. It was terrible, but it was a lot of fun, you know.
Did you have to suffer through the Jimmy Buffett phase?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes. And the problem was that was like a reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
You know, every 6 months it seemed like Jimmy Buffett would come on.
Yeah.
And then he went through, what was it, Johnny Cash. He
Yeah.
got into Johnny Cash. But luckily that only lived once.
Yeah.
That only lived once. And I was like, this could end any time, Uncle Kevin. And I'd complain about it. He's like, "Oh, this is real music." And then he'd start singing
The
and
music
dancing.
was good.
Yeah. He'd start singing and dancing. But then he'd go pick up lunch or whatever, and I'd quickly turn on the radio to anything else, you know. He'd get back, "What is this garbage?" And, oh, there it goes. My relaxation. Thank God for MP3 players and stuff.
Yeah.
But no,
And headphones.
and headphones, yeah. But no, I loved working with Uncle Kevin. It was a lot of fun. One trip I remember distinctly is when we went down to Nashville.
Yeah.
We were there for a whole week. We were doing all the carpet in every single house, this whole mansion. And he was our cook. And yeah, he was our cook. He'd wake up every morning and make breakfast, and then, you know, lunch, he'd stop a half hour before everybody else, and he'd start making food. And at the end of the day, we'd all break, and he would stop a half hour beforehand, go get cleaned up, and then he'd go right into the kitchen and start cooking and getting everything done and ready.
Is that the one where he stole the steaks out of the freezer downstairs?
We were allowed to those steaks.
Oh.
Benny T told us so. Benny T told us. He was like, "We're allowed to any food in the house."
So wasn't that Carolyn Marsh's
Yeah.
sister's house?
I don't know.
It was
I just know it was a mansion.
Yeah.
And then I stayed up all one night, and I scared the crap out of him and Pat. And because I ripped out all the carpet in one room, and then 2:30 in the morning, him and Pat are in the backyard talking in the hot tub. And next thing you know, out of a second-story window, carpet just getting chucked out into the driveway. I'm like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And they look up, and I'm in there, you know, just throwing carpet out the window. They're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Why are you guys still awake? Why are you still working?" I'm not bored. I couldn't sleep. Yeah. But then the next day, I slept for maybe an hour and a half, and Pat woke me up, and he was like, "All right, man, time to go to work," completely forgetting that I was up all night doing that. And Uncle Kevin was like, "No, you go sleep. Go back to bed. Hide somewhere." So I went out in the backyard and slept in a hammock for 4 hours.
Ooh, a hammock. That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
He woke me up in time for lunch, and then I finished working the rest of the day. but it was a good time. And he always looked out for me. In truth, you know, he was real good to me. And he was always every time we worked with Benny T, he was always pushing. He's like, man, you know, Johnny needs a raise. You know, we're only paying him so much. We need to give him better. We need to give him more pay. He's doing way more than any other worker he's got.
Who's Betty T?
Benny T's associate pastor that was at our church, but he owned the house restoration company. But he'd always go out to Benny T and say, you know, Johnny needs a raise. Get him a raise.
Johnny?
That's what
Yeah,
it.
he
Johnny
did.
baby.
Yeah. Or Slave Boy.
Yeah, Slave Boy. That was the other one. Come on, Slave Boy. Come on.
Really?
Oh yeah. That started when we were doing roofing. We were doing roofing. One of the guys joked about me being a slave because I was only 12 at the time actually, and I was carrying shingles up the ladder to the roof, and I wasn't allowed to use the nail gun. I wasn't allowed to do this.
Well,
that.
not if you don't feel like a slave. Jeez.
No. There was no whips, no chains, nothing like that. But slave was thrown around a lot. Come on, slave, let's go. And Uncle Kevin really grasped
That's
onto that.
spooky.
And he
Where's the wish?
he really enjoyed it. But it was a lot of fun. I loved working with Uncle Kevin. He was a hoot. He could distract you real easy then.
Yeah.
Is
Not
there other sound
unusual.
effects?
I was just putting my feet up front.
Oh, okay.
No, that's it then.
Alright.
Oh, my.
Anybody else?
Who's next?
Well, I'll jump in. He was my brother, my baby brother, and he was 5 years younger than me. And sometimes he seemed like he was older than me.
Really?
He liked to boss me around.
Oh.
And
Okay.
but he did have a quick laugh, a quick humor, and loved to tell funny jokes and sometimes not so funny jokes. And he loved to cook, and he loved my mom and taking care of her. He was a great brother.
Well, I'm Marge Jacob, and I'm a friend of the family. I don't really not a member of the family, but I feel like I am because I've been around them so much. And Kevin was a wonderful friend, and he did love to cook, and he was really good at cleaning up after meals. He was my favorite
Yeah.
cleaner upper because and the only problem he had sometimes he on purpose would put things away so that I couldn't find them. And he thought that was funny. So, in fact, there's one thing I never did find in my house after he put it away. I probably moved it since then, but I still don't know where it is. But he was real good about cleaning up, and I always appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that he took care of his mom so well. There just wasn't anything he wouldn't do for his mother. And so, because she was my good friend, I really appreciated Kevin for that.
Well, I guess it's my turn.
Sure.
I don't know, I didn't have anything really prepared for this, even though I'm mostly, spent a lot of time preparing for it. I should have thought about what I was going to say. I know Kevin been my dad most of my life, which is all my life. But I didn't was mainly raised by my mother. He did come quite often, and I did visit him quite a bit. I remember Odie childhood, I used to visit him at his Grandpa Brown, his father's house, and I remember going to that. We used to walk around with these overalls and the striped shirt every day. I guess I only had one outfit, but it was a really cute outfit. And I think and I remember that and every day they washed it at night when I was sleeping, and it was cute. And I remember that we was in some state with the colors of the lights wasn't the same color as the typical, green, yellow, and red. I forget where we was, but it was like a different color pattern. They had like a different color on the light, and that was kind of odd. I never saw that, and I still haven't saw that again to this day. a light pole with a different color light bulb on it. I forget what it was for. This, early childhood memories. Of my dad. My dad always show up at the, holidays and different times. I remember I guess my dad and my mom got divorced the same year I was born, which is really interesting. It's around the same time as I was born, and I ended up having the same birthday as my dad, which was, I guess, my family always said that was kind of surprising to him.
Yeah, when does that ever happen?
So that was really interesting. That I was, so me and my dad always shared my birthday. My dad always called me every year for my birthday. Always bought me a really, really nice gifts every year for my birthday. He bought me, really nice Lego set or Nintendo one year.
Or a what?
Nintendo.
Oh,
The Nintendo
Nintendo.
system. He always sent me a really nice gift every year for my birthday throughout my whole childhood. Because I didn't really have that nice of toys growing up, and usually I get something really nice from my dad every year, and it was really, really, really nice growing up as a kid. Something just like I wouldn't even expect. Like just really, and a couple years like a Nintendo system or really super fancy Lego system or something else that I forgot all the things he got me throughout the years, but or he at least sent me money every year if nothing else. He always like sending me $100 every year. If he could, once I got older, once I stopped being a kid, he just sent me $100 every year for Christmas, and which is a lot of money back then, not so much anymore, but it's still a lot now, but
Yeah.
it was a lot more back then. What else could I? But my dad, when I started living with, the first time I actually started living with my dad was in Destin, Florida. My mom was going through a hard time, and I started living with my dad, and when I was in Destin, Florida, with Judy, and I never got along with Judy, but
And that's his old girlfriend or whatever?
Ex-wife.
But it was really awesome living with my dad. It was I started a landscape company when I was living with my dad, and I used to started cutting grass. I would also worked at McDonald's and stuff. I was staying there. Started becoming a little bit of an entrepreneur. I helped my dad with a bunch of odd jobs and stuff. I helped him fix a fence for a neighbor after hurricane. Did a lot of work fixing. Did some odd jobs after the hurricanes in Florida. Which happens quite a bit, Florida and the hurricanes. I go and I do, repair fences and other things. And then I started my landscape company. I used to have, had a bunch of people do landscaping. I lived in Florida even after my dad moved away. Because I like Florida, we had a lot of clients that need yard work done, and stuff like that, which is, I don't know what else I can say about my dad. He always he always picked me up and always just drive around the countryside. He just drive around, he calls Sunday bumming or country bumming, where you kind of just drive around.
Sunday bumming, I remember that.
Oh, did you do that with him or something?
Yeah, they used to just take off in the car and wherever car you are and just drive, hit up a tomato stand, make some tomato sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
He's always bringing home different, unusual things from farmers markets.
Oh yeah, and so he just drives all around going to fun adventures. So he's filming his. I think that's where I seek my, my enjoyment of adventure from my dad. Like I always, always liked adventuring, seeing new places and seeing, just traveling and not really know where the destination really gonna be, but just knowing that gonna be fun things when we get there. Like my dad always hang out in the woods and go camping a lot. I felt like a lot of the memories growing up is me and my dad camping. We go camping or go on fun adventures. Whenever I hang out with my dad, I always remember I ate really well. I don't know how he ate.
You what?
I ate really well. I have no idea how he able to afford going out to eat 3 times a day, but we always usually go out to eat 3 times a day when I hang out with my dad, which is, I don't even know how I even eat that
But
much
on
food.
vacation?
Yeah, when we go on vacation with my dad, we ate really well.
Well, it sounds like he had a pretty good job. I guess he didn't work in a factory his whole life, which is what I thought. I thought maybe he was working in
Toward the
factories.
end,
his whole life.
he worked a lot of like odd
Warehouse,
factory jobs,
factory.
warehouses and stuff
I
like
wonder
that.
why. He was just tired of doing other stuff.
But yeah, my dad always took me on really nice vacations and traveling and stuff. Was really awesome. Sunday bumming and stuff like that. I think I'm not trying to think of some other fun things I done with my dad. He always liked music and stuff. I don't think I ever went to any concerts or anything with my dad. But yeah. So I can always tell that he always asks you love me, even though I guess the stress of having a kid is a lot.
Is it?
I
Right.
don't know.
He once said that. I remember
Having kids is
her dad
stressful.
saying that. It sure is stressful. He was like, it's stressful being a dad. Jeez.
Is it?
Or having a kid.
I mean, the kid grows up inside, you gotta.
Nah, it wasn't.
What?
He said it was harder on mom than it was him.
Right.
So anyways, I think what else you got?
Huh? Cake time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's funny, yeah. Me and my dad have the same birthday. We are also here celebrating my birthday.
Did you like the Addams Family?
No, I don't know.
I like old TV shows,
He really did like old TV shows.
so he probably did.
Anybody else have anything they would like to share before?
Did she say anything, or did she want to say anything?
Okay.
I don't know. I would have to think up something, Eric. I drew those 2 good pictures.
Yeah. I remember I was at my dad's house when I started talking to Michelle. She used to call me on the phone and stuff.
Or maybe you called me sometimes.
My dad picked me up when I when I got that terrible incident with the people that nearly killed me. He took me down to his house at a hill for a month and I should have listened to him about just leaving the house in Detroit. But I thought I could rebuild it, and I ended up losing the house in Detroit. Which is glad because I now able to have more fun adventures elsewhere. So,
So we have cake
We do. We got cake and apple pie.
and apple pie.
And
How about
apple pie.
while we're sitting here, we'll sing happy birthday, and then we'll.
Alright, let's sing happy birthday to me and my dad.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha cha cha.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha cha cha.
Happy birthday, dear Eric and Kevin. Happy birthday to you.
Cha cha cha.
And many more.
So you're 144.
Oh my.
Oh man.
We'll not do the morbid one because it's of the occasion. We'll hold back on that one. Yeah.
Alright.
We'll sing it later off camera.